It's time again for Closing the Wealth Gap. Because you know what's going on out there. Hey, the rich are getting richer. And the poor? Ha. So depending on which side of the gap you're on, we're going to try to close it up a little bit for you today. We're going to give you some tips, some ideas, and bring on some real people who are experts at closing that wealth gap. Like our show host, our financial coach, Tyrone French, our wealth coach.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good here. Hey, you've closed the wealth gap in your own life and others. Can it really be closed? Come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing, though. Creating wealth, it's a journey. It's not a destination.
It is a journey. You mean it's not once and done? I can't just do these three things and I've closed the gap and then it stays closed for the rest of my life?
Well, it not only it's a lifestyle, but I can tell you. I tell you what. Before we came on the show today, what I like to do in the mornings, I like to go over different news outlets and download different things, what they're talking about, the wealth gap. Right. And a lot of hedge fund managers are they're nervous right now.
I hear that.
Yeah, and that people beginning to understand that the stock market is manipulated and all these the money supply.
Don't go there now. Come on, you got this big conspiracy that are all working against us here.
But what they're saying, Paul, is that there's an income inequality problem that has to be addressed.
It really has, yeah.
Because what they're understanding is that we're getting to the point where people really don't have they're losing hope.
Yeah.
And they don't have anything to lose. And when you find people that are hopeless, that's a dangerous person.
Those are the kind of people that stormed the Capitol.
Absolutely. So what they're saying is that, hey, look, same thing that Warren Buffett put out years ago. Wealthy people have too much money. And if we don't solve this problem with equality and income equality, then we're going to literally have a civil war in this country. Now, I'm not saying that as a hypothetical. I'm saying that based on looking at history and looking at societies in general,
yes,
as far as the rise and fall of empires. And what a lot of times it started with currency issues, especially when you look at the Roman Empire and what they were doing is they were debasing their currency as far as fiat currency. And so when you look at what's going on right now, even the United States, they have to do this rescue package. They don't call it a stimulus. They call it a rescue package.
Yeah, call it what it is.
Why? Because people are losing their homes. If they paid rent, they're being evicted.
But here's the part of the story that we don't talk about enough of, and you talk about. Wealthy people aren't worrying the same way. We live as many politicians have said, it's a tale of two cities. We live in two Americas. You've talked about this. There are those who are struggling, who are falling behind, who are seeing the gap get bigger and losing hope. And that hope turns to anger and frustration. They come with pitchforks, or they try, let's burn the whole house down here. Let's follow Trump. Let's follow Bernie. Let's follow anybody. I'm angry. I'm mad. Somebody took this.
Let's follow whoever is willing, that we think or believe is going to solve this problem and speak up for us.
Exactly. So,
and like I said, a lot of the people, the 1%, they're starting to understand that, hey, look, we don't have these same issues that other people have, but these other people, this 95% see, I could care less about trying to make rich people richer. That's not my thing. I'm here to do.
Come on, that's how you get rich. You make the rich get richer and they throw you a few crumbs.
Well, see, they're going to be fine. Just because of their organized efforts, they understand what power is.
Right. And
real power is organized effort. People come together, or institutions come together, or companies come together, and they create this mastermind, and they create this wealth.
Wasn't that the whole basis of Think and Grow Rich, the book that chronicled how the three titans of the 1920s, which was Thomas Edison and Harvey Firestone with the tire company and Henry Ford. And the three of them used to hang out and get together, and that's where this whole idea of masterminds and sharing best practices and connecting and helping each other came from.
Well, actually, if you want to take it a little bit further back in 1911, a guy named Wallace Wattles, He wrote a book
Wallace
called The Science
Waddle.
of Getting Rich.
Really?
Wallace D. Waddles. You can Google that, but it's a book called The Science of Getting Rich, and it lays out a formula. Like Brian Tracy talks about formulas. He's talking about
Yeah.
formulas,
Right.
recipes, and what was that? Combinations.
Right.
And so it's like, let's say if you have a combination lock, and as long as you know the order and the sequence, which is Tony Robbins called it a syntax, as long as you know the order and the sequence
The
of
code.
that combination,
Well, you know the secret code.
you know it opens up. And here's the thing: the lock doesn't care who knows the order and the sequence.
Right. They don't say, well, wait a minute, you're not the right color or the right age or the right sex or the right background. You know, if you know the code, you get in.
So the wealthy understand the order. They understand the syntax of wealth, the order and the sequence, whereas the average 95% don't.
All right, so I'm going to stop you there. I get that. But you harping on that every week. Sooner or later, it's going to get through my thick skull here that there's this way to do this. There's a secret code. There's a system, and if you understand the system and the code, it'll work for anybody, for everybody.
Yes.
But I don't know anybody that's worked for. I know everybody that it hasn't worked for. Who did you bring with you today? You got somebody that's made it work for them.
I got a person that's made this it's so easy. It's so late. Because a lot of people, they may know what to do. They may even understand why they want to do it,
Right.
but they don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
And so we got a guy today. His name is Keith Tucker. And Keith Tucker I call him an entrepreneur extraordinaire. Great guy, great personality, but he's a teacher. And he doesn't mind sharing information. And he works with this company called ECON. ECON is short for My Economy. And it's a financial service.
I know what my economy looks like. And you don't want to do a show on it.
Well, hey, here's the bottom line, though, Paul.
Made me
Everything-
sneeze. I got so excited about it.
Everything boils down to everybody's individual economy.
Yeah, right.
Everything.
Because you can talk about the world and the banking world and fiat made up currency and all that. Bring it down to me, to my world, to my economy. Yeah.
That's exactly what we're going to do right now. So without further ado, Mr. Tucker, are you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Keith. Good to hear your
Now,
voice.
Tucker, I gotta ask you a question here, Mr. Tucker. Here,
Sir.
you must be related to Chris Tucker, and now you come from money. This is easy for you. Come on. I know you're related to Chris Tucker, the comedian. I know you are.
You know, I wish I was related to him. I will be swimming in money right now, even more. But unfortunately, my cards not pay out that good.
Well, Keith, I tell you what, just because we just for the sake of time, because there's a few questions. There are questions I want to ask you, and I want to keep you on point because we're going to go through this pretty quickly. But just really quickly, just let me know, let our listeners know as far as your story. How did you get started as an entrepreneur? How did you decide to choose network marketing as one of your vehicles of choices? Because again, we're talking about having multiple streams of income. So one of your multiple streams is My Econ. So just give our listeners just a little backstory as far as, because here's the thing. A lot of people, they hear other people's success stories, but they say, I can't do that. Well, that's
right.
not for me.
I can't do that. Chris Tucker can do it, and Keith Tucker can do it, but I can't do it.
So you have the floor, Keith.
Yes, so I tell you, first of all, I just want to thank you both for giving me the opportunity to come on the show. And I'm going to tell you, my story is funny because, believe it or not, I never had a desire to be an entrepreneur, and I never had a desire to do network marketing. I was totally against network marketing. I was totally against entrepreneurship.
I'm raising my hand, Keith. I'm with you here.
I had no experience in sales and public speaking and none of that. And I'm going to tell you what happened. This is how My Econ ended up falling into my lap. One day, I found myself in $100,000 worth of debt. $100,000. And I was actually looking for a way to get out of debt. And I was like, what can I do to get out of debt?
Did you think about robbing banks? That's one way to do it.
Believe it or not, I was actually just trying to make a decision to go ahead and get myself a second job. I said, you know what, I'll just go ahead and get myself a second job, and I'll just work work until I get out of debt.
Because Keith,
Right.
we all know that the secret to making money is trading time for money, right? You just you put more time in and you make more money.
It's
That's
exactly the opposite.
what.
It's exactly.
Exactly.
And again, that goes back to
Exactly.
the formula and the syntax. So keep going.
And I tell you, it was amazing what happened. I was on the football field with my son. He was playing football one day, and I happened to be standing beside another dad that was talking to two other dads about debt elimination. And so I kind of eavesdropped on the conversation without letting them know, because sometimes we as men don't want no one to know that our situation is messed up.
Absolutely.
So I stayed quiet and I listened. And when he finished, I literally asked him, hey, you know, I heard you talking about debt elimination. Is that something that you teach? And he said, yes, actually I do. If you can come by my house, I'll show you exactly how to become debt free. So I went by his house on the weekend.
No, stop. I got to stop. Come on now. Some guy in a football field tells you he's going to come over to my house and I'm going to teach you. You must have either been really desperate or you believe everybody. Because I would say, no way, buddy. You don't know how to do this.
Well, I tell you what. Let me step in here, Keith. I'm the referee now, because Paul, he's your antagonist.
That's right.
So I'm gonna have Paul go back to his corner for a minute and just stand there, you know, and just listen to what's about to unfold.
Open your
So go
ears
ahead.
and listen, Paul. Okay, all right.
But I will tell you this, to address that part, you know, I said what I was already doing wasn't working. What did I have to lose? So I said, at least I can do is listen, because everything that I was doing up to that point was messed up.
Makes sense.
I found myself in $100,000 of debt. I said, it can't get no worse than that.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so he showed me some strategies. He didn't sell me anything. He showed me some strategies on how to eliminate my debt. And I asked him, I said, where did you learn this information from? And he said, I'm involved with a company called my ECON. Now, initially, my arms folded because, like I said earlier, I had no desire to do network marketing or entrepreneurship as a whole.
Right.
But the information that he shared with me was so valuable. I said, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep getting what I'm getting.
What were you
Wow.
doing? What had you been doing? Can you tell us just basically what was your skill or your job, or what were you doing before?
So I was a senior security manager, making pretty good money, but I was spending more than I was taking in.
That's the problem. The more we earn, the more we spend.
Yeah, and that puts yourself in a risky position, because it put me in a position where I end up having so much debt that I was borrowing from Paul to pay Peter, and I was struggling to make ends meet. And so this opportunity literally opened my eyes on some strategies and some rules of the wealthy that are not being taught in schools. And when I applied these strategies, believe it or not, the 4 things happened. The first thing was the $100,000 of debt. Do you want to believe this? But I eliminated all of it in 1 year.
Oh, come on. I don't believe it.
1 year.
Wow.
The second thing that happened, I was able to increase my credit score from a 520 to an 804,
What?
all within that first year
What?
that I got into entrepreneurship. Yes.
Can I come over to your house and learn about this? I don't know how to do
You
this.
sure can.
All right.
The third thing that happened was, before, my emergency funds were my credit cards. Whenever emergency happened, I took my credit cards out, I swiped it. But here's the thing about that. When you buy stuff on credit, you buy something once, but you end up paying for it 2 or 3 times over because of the interest
Absolutely.
rate that you have on that credit card.
Right.
Absolutely.
So I now have a true emergency fund that's not my credit cards. And then last and not least, I've been able to cash flow 6 figures part-time, not full-time, part-time without stopping.
You can't see the picture.
So-
My
Well, I tell you what,
mouth
I
just
tell you what,
dropped.
Paul, stand back, stand down a little bit, because what he just said was extremely important, and I don't want
Yes.
this to go over the audience's head. I want you to explain to me, what does it mean to cash flow? When you cash flow that amount of money, I want you to explain that, because what you're talking about is a lot of people are in the same position. They're in debt. They have low credit scores. They're trading time for money, and they don't see a way out. And so there is a particular way that's called cash flowing, or that they really need to get a hold of. As far as I tell you, I'm just going to let you explain it. So explain what
please,
cash flowing is.
Please.
Yes, cash flow is when you start creating streams of income that's outside of just entrepreneurship or a job. So a good example of cash flow was, number one, that $100,000 of debt that I had, when I paid it off, before I paid it off, I was paying $2,400 a month to service that debt.
Wow.
But when I paid that debt off, now that's $2,400 a month that's cash flowing back into my house because I no longer have the debt.
Right.
So that's going to come into my house every single month without me selling anything or doing anything extra because I eliminated the debt.
Right.
Another way I cash flowed where I had it all wrong when it came to my W-4. Like many people, in fact, the IRS says that over 80% of Americans have their W-4 filled out incorrectly. So once I understood what the W-4 was when it was an allowance worksheet, and I really understood how to adjust it, I was able to pick up an extra $400 a month in my paycheck on my job without owing at the end of the year. So that's another cash flow stream that's coming in of $400 a month because of a simple piece of paper.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me jump in here.
Sure.
Let me ask you this. Now, when it comes to that W-4 and the IRS, is that, let's say if you got a husband and wife and that's working on regular 9-to-5 jobs, and the government's taking X amount because they don't add to you. I mean, they're going to take their money regardless. They're going to take that money first. And if their withholdings are not correct, are not filled out or not done correctly, they can have literally having more money come out of their check that they can literally use that money to cash flow themselves. So is it just one per household or is it two?
So actually both husband and wife can adjust their W-4 separately and allow them to cash flow some additional income coming in. So the power in that is that extra income can now be used to help them pay off their debt faster or put more money into an investment portfolio so that they can retire sooner than later.
But guys, you're screwing up my wife's belief that she always liked to have too much money taken out, because then it was like a gift. It was found money that would arrive once a year, and she was thrilled. I'm getting a rebate.
But Paul, that's the fallacy. If you're getting a large refund check from the IRS, you're doing something wrong. That means it's wrong. You're literally taking money out of your pocket that you could be using throughout the year to grow, to increase your asset column on your balance sheet, or to increase your net worth, to increase your lifestyle.
But I'll bet there are a lot of people like her that think, oh, don't give it to me, I'll blow it, I'll give it to the government, and they'll hand it back to me. It's like they forced me to save it. Oh boy, I get a big rebate check. I'm looking forward to it every year. I count on that rebate check coming back.
But that's where the mindset comes in, and that's what Keith is going to be explaining on this show. Because once you have the training, and once you have the right mindset, then you're not in that. You don't have that frame of mind to blow it. See, we are creatures of habit.
Yes.
If you're not used to working out, when you get to the point where you say, okay, well, it's time for me to start working out again, it's hard. It's difficult. You have to convince yourself to do it. Why? Because the mind may say, you may have the correct thought, and you may want to have the correct action, but the feeling, the attitude of that is blocking the action. But once you get to the point where you start working out again, then that becomes the new habit. And when you're not working out, you feel dis-ease or not at ease.
And habits, once you acquire them, you're right. If you want to get me to go work out and I don't work out right now and I know that's bad, that's a hard barrier to overcome because it hurts and I'm lazy and I got to make an effort. But once I get a habit, it's not hard for me to brush my teeth anymore. I was taught that as a kid. In fact, I feel bad if I don't brush my teeth.
And Paul, that's the underlying operating program as far as, because we're creatures of habit. And so once you get into the habit of spending money, see, I don't mind people having that mindset of we're going to spend money. The issue is what they spend that money on. So so we're not trying to change that spending habit. We want them to spend, but we want them to spend money in things that are going to create income, that are going to create assets, versus putting money in a depreciating asset that's not helping you in the long run.
So how did Keith do it? He's found some way to, money's not going out to service the debt, not giving the government too much money, had some other strategies here that he learned from this program. What did you do then with that extra income to make it multiply?
Good question. So the extra money I started earning, I started applying it straight to my debt. because I wanted to become debt free. And I tell people all the time, when you're debt free, you're stress free.
Yeah.
And so I
Yes.
was tired of being in stress. And so the money that I got, I started hitting my debt hard. The money I got from my W-4 went straight to debt. The money that I got from minimizing my expenses went straight to debt. The money I got from learning how to invest went straight to debt. The money I got from working my business went straight to debt. And that was how I was able to eliminate it in 1 year. And Tyrone said something very, very powerful. I always give people an example is this. Let's say you
He's
went
the
to
coach.
store
He
with a
always says
$100
good
bill.
stuff here. Go ahead.
Let's say you went to the store with a $100 bill and
Right.
your items came up to $50. That means you're supposed to get $50 change back. But let's just say the cashier only gave you $10. You're not going to leave that cashier until you get the other $40. But that's what's happening when people have the W-4 filled out incorrectly. When you have your W-4 filled out incorrectly and you get a refund, what that simply means is you're giving the IRS an interest-free loan on your money.
Yeah.
So let's say you got a $5,000 refund. What that simply means is you allowed the government from January to December to keep your $5,000 interest-free, by the way. They took your $5,000, invested it, made thousands of dollars of interest off of your money, and then refunded you a percentage of your money, because even though they refunded you $5,000, if you look at your paycheck throughout the whole year, they probably took out $8,000 to $10,000. So
Absolutely.
you lost money, and like the example of at the store, and the cashier only gave you $10 when he or she should have given you
So we
$50
only got about
back.
10 minutes left. I want to hear how you took this money and made it work for you.
Yes. So once I started getting that money and I started eliminating debt, then I started learning about investing, because one of the things I tell people is you got to get in a position where your money works for you instead of you working for the money. And so
That's what our
once I
coach
started
says all
getting
the time
extra
here.
Hey,
money-
Paul,
Yeah.
again, he said something again that's very important. And I know you're the antagonist today,
Right.
but here's the thing. A lot of people think that when they have extra money, the first thing that they want to do is they want to invest that money. And it doesn't matter. Let's say if they took that money and they invested it, and let's say they got 10% on that money that they invested,
Right.
but their debt is taking 50% of their discretionary income.
Yes.
They'd be much better position to pay off that debt more so than trying to make that investment.
Makes sense. So first pay off your debt, and then when the debt's gone, find way to the money that you've saved or that you're making now, make it work for you.
Yes. Yes. And put it into an investment where you're getting more than the average 1% or less that you normally get when you put your money into a savings account. So getting with a professional
Keith,
financial
do
planner.
this. Keith, let's do this. Explain why it was to your advantage to start a business and generate a whole nother income stream now that you have the right mindset.
Good question. So right now, as many people are seeing right now, this pandemic has caused many people to either lose their job or lose hours on their job. So multiple streams of income is no longer something that someone should be thinking about. It's something that they should do immediately.
It's a necessity. Absolutely.
Because jobs are no longer guaranteed. You know, you can walk in tomorrow and the job could say you downsize, outsource, or we just filed bankruptcy and we no longer need your services. And now you're in a situation where you got to figure out, how am I going to pay the bills? So multiple streams of income is a must these days. And so I tell people all the time that when you have multiple streams of income, it allows you to be able to pay the multiple bills that you have as well. Because just because your job stops, that doesn't mean the bills will stop.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this: because we talked about the Simtex, do you think that wealthy people understand multiple streams of income?
I believe most wealthy people do, because there's an old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So most wealthy people understand that concept that, you know what, I need to have multiple streams of income, because if one slows down, my income slows down.
Absolutely.
God forbid one stops, my income stops.
And do you think wealthy people, they wake up in the morning trying to figure out how they can literally trade time for money, or how they can actually create an income producing asset and make those assets grow?
They wake up in the morning trying to get an income producing asset, because like I said earlier, you want to be in a position where your money works for you instead of you working for the money.
Absolutely. So how, just in a nutshell, because we only got a few more minutes left, how can my econ impact people that find themselves now they want to, they have the right spending habits, they want to get their credit scores. They understand multiple streams of income. They know that they're working from home. They would like to start their own business, but they don't really know how to do it. How does my econ solve those problems?
Great question. So my econ solves that problem because we provide people with something called an income shifting membership. Now, that income shifting membership allows a person to, number one, get a home-based business where they can have another stream of income. And not only do they get another stream of income, they're going to learn how to get residual income where they're doing something one time and getting paid for it over and over again. And also a concept called leverage income where you're not getting paid only on your own efforts, but the efforts of other people. Now, also, that membership gives them the ability to improve and increase their credit score. It comes with a do-it-yourself credit repair system that will literally teach them step by step how to repair and restore their credit.
Okay.
Then it comes with a debt elimination software to help them become debt-free because, like I said earlier, when you're debt-free, you're stress-free. And this system works like an electronic financial advisor that builds them a blueprint and game plan to help them become debt-free. And then last but not least, it puts them in a position to learn about investing. We don't sell investments, but they're going to learn about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRAs, annuities, cryptocurrency, etc., so that they can get in a situation where they're leaving generational wealth instead of generational debt.
Right. So let's say if somebody's listening to this show right now and they're interested in getting more information about my econ or even getting in touch with you, how would they do that?
Awesome. So they can actually go to www.myfinancialvision.com. That's www.myfinancialvision.com. They can also give me a call at 240-305-1568. That's 240-305-1568. And my name again is Keith Tucker.
Outstanding.
And that's Chris Tucker's brother, everybody there. The famous Chris Tucker. We got his brother on today.
Hey, Paul, you're gonna have Chris Tucker sending him a cease and desist letter. So let's stop that. We're just playing, Chris.
Well, you know what's powerful is you did it. You know, the coach keeps telling me how to do it, and I know he did it, but I can't do it. I really can't. Come on. The deck is stacked against me. I don't know how to do it. I got the wrong habits. I'm old. You can't teach a dog new trick. And you did. You did it. That's what impresses me, the people that Tyrone brings on here. It's not just him telling me how to do it. He's bringing people on who really did it. You got debt-free. You found a way to create multiple streams of income, make your money work for you. If you can do it, maybe I can. What do you think?
Absolutely. And what's easy to do, Paul, is, again, and I'll say this time and time again, what's easy to do is easy not to do.
Yeah, that boy, I think it's easier not to do it.
Like that.
I like that a lot.
And, you know, I'll say this real quick, really fast. A mentor told me this, and he said, Keith, this business is not for you. And I said, what do you mean? You got me started in the business. Why is it not for me? He said, Keith, it's for the person you have to become.
Wow.
So he said, you were already smart
Wow.
enough. You will already be wealthy. You have to turn and change yourself into a new person. So he said, when you shift your mindset, that is when you then.
I want you to repeat that. Tyrone's had you repeat a couple of things. If you're not, say it again. If you're so smart, why aren't you rich? That's what you kind of said here.
That's right. Yes. He said that this business is not for you. It's for the person you have to become. And he ingrained that into my spirit. And he says, you know, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting.
Right.
And if you shift your mindset, that is when you would then shift your income.
Well, that's why we shift people to this show each and every week here, folks, because every week he keeps hammering at these themes, and maybe our heads will just open up one of these days. Maybe our hard heads will open up, and we'll finally listen.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to leave our listeners with this today.
All right.
It was a guy that asked Michelangelo about David, the sculpture that he
The famous
sculpted.
David sculpture that he did back in Rome.
Yes.
Okay.
And what he said was he had this giant piece of marble.
Right.
And he said David was already inside the marble. He just brought him out.
Wow.
And that's where we need people to be today. They're already they're there. They're already entrepreneurs. They're already business owners. Because again, if you have a household and you have income and expenses, you're running a business.
Yeah.
You're managing assets. And so you can be that fund manager for your family. You can be that first generational wealth for your family. You can be that real estate investor, whatever it is, to make sure that the next generation is doing better than you. But we have to bring that David out. And it's inside of you. We just have to draw it out.
One of the ways is tune each and every week here. How do they reach you, Tyrone, if they need a coach? Sometimes we need a little help to get that, bring it out. How do they reach you?
Everybody, you just need to go to closingthewealthgap.us, closingthewealthgap.us. So if that's too long, just go to wealthcoach.us and call me, text me, contact me through an email, and I'd be more than happy to give the information that you.
Well, you brought us another networking opportunity that I never heard of. What's the name of it again, Keith? And tell us how to get in touch with you if they want to learn more about this possible way that they can create another income stream.
It's called My ECON, which is short for My Economy, and they can go to www.myfinancialvision.com, and the cell phone number is 240-305-1568.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks for putting up with me here today. I know I speak for others out there who were just wondering why we can't seem to get it through our heads that there is another way to do this.
Yes. Keith, thank you for your time and your information. I really appreciate it. My audience appreciate it. And keep doing what you do, buddy. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you both for having me on. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks. You have a choice. You think the deck's stacked against you and you can't get out of debt? You think you can't close the wealth gap? Here's another example of somebody who did. From the man who's shown many how to do it. Our wealth coach, Tyrone French. Tune in each and every week. Keep coming back. Don't give up. Learn how you can close the wealth gap in your own life. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.